Yo, 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 it's your boy, Mr. Israelite, letting the people know that it's real life. All right, and we about to react to something a friend sent me. It's called Disturbing Internet Mysteries. We just about to get to it, man. I don't know what it's about. I don't know if it's a cartoon. I don't know if it's true, but hopefully it is. It'll be dope if it is true. So let's get to it. Oh shoot. This is crazy.
Fun Time Kids Care. On the 25th of January 2015, Reddit user Disco Godfather 6922 made a post on the Salt Lake City subreddit that would start one of the biggest conspiracies in the platform's history. The post featured an image of a mysterious bright green building with little to no context. Its only identifying features were several signs that read Fun Time Kids Care, suggesting that the building might have once been a daycare center or at least pretending to be one. The title of the post read, "What's the deal with this place? Lived across the street from it for 5 years, never seen a kid there." At first glance, an abandoned daycare doesn't seem all that interesting, but something about this building felt off. There were details that didn't quite add up. The mismatch between the fresh-looking outside paint with old worn-out signs, and the oddly placed windows that appeared to be boarded up from the inside. These strange elements caught people's attention, and before long the post had gone viral across the internet. Then things got even stranger. A few days later, Disco Godfather visited the building again and described what they saw in a comment. "So I just came back from the place and found something in the back covered by a camo tarp. I then saw a Mexican man come out, pick something up, and go back inside. Earlier in the day I went there and saw a pizza guy trying to deliver a pizza to the place. He knocked and nobody came to the door. He left and I was about to as well until I noticed kids walking up to the door and trying to get in. Finally, an old Mexican lady opened the door and let them in. 5 years of living here, never saw a single person go in or out. Then in one day I see 4 people. Weird." And while some people joked about the building being the base of operations for Walter White from the popular TV show Breaking Bad, others took things more seriously. To them, this daycare looked like a money laundering front, or something far sinister like an organ harvesting operation. One person also pointed out the convenient timing of Disco Godfather seeing the 2 kids after their post went viral, stating, "Could still be a drug front, but perhaps due to the additional attention it's getting, they're bringing in some of their own kids to make the place look more convincing." But before Disco Godfather and the rest of the internet could find any concrete answers, a Reddit user by the name of Deathship advised them to stop looking into this place. Naturally, people wanted to know who this guy was. As Redditors began looking further into Deathship to understand their ominous warning, they made some interesting revelations. Deathship was a retired Air Force linguist who was fluent in 8 different languages and was also stationed in Area 51 at some point. If these credentials were true, it was possible that this mysterious building was affiliated with one of the 3-letter organizations like the DoD, FBI, and CIA. And if Deathship knew, that would explain his warnings telling Disco Godfather to back off. But things became even more terrifying when soon after Deathship's comment, Disco Godfather began receiving threats from other users. "Delete your posts and comments and stop making questions. First and last warning, we know who you are. If you must continue your search, try to uncover what you seek. Do not say I..."
Okay, this is getting interesting. Me, as a black man, I'm done. I'm out of it. First off, it's one thing to like quietly look into something, but to make an outrage, if you gonna sneak this correctly, like just if you gonna call the police, just have the police look into it. You doing the most. You trying to be known. You putting your whole family at risk. Let's just say that. Keep an eye for watch if you see something. Hey man, be a nosy neighbor. Ain't nothing wrong with being a nosy neighbor, man. Most of the time I know what my neighbors is into. I don't say nothing, but I live here. Anyway, I'm gonna keep going.
didn't warn you. Things like this are always run by dangerous people. Things got even more alarming when people found a link between the daycare and a shipping container from China. The bill listed 1,100 kilograms of plastic jewelry and 6,825 kilograms of football and soccer balls. This led many to believe that this daycare might be involved in human trafficking, pointing out that the weight didn't match what you'd expect from lightweight plastic items. Fortunately, all of these disturbing theories were discovered to be nothing more than conspiracies. The Utah Department of Health has official childcare licensing records indicating that Funtime Kids Care is just a normal functioning daycare. A recent comment by Reddit user Baby Tears also confirmed this with a personal story which reads, "I know this post is old, but my dad actually went there as a kid. It's ran by a nice older lady. Apparently, my dad told me it's usually meant for kids as kind of a safe haven daycare to protect children who have a parent or family member that isn't meant to be in contact with them that's deemed as more dangerous or persistent. Hence why the windows are semi-covered with curtains and drawings, also for safety. That's why there are only a few kids in there. I live right by it, and they actually just painted the building a bright green with yellow windows. In the winter, there's cute snowmen in the playground." Looking into the daycare's history, it turns out it was originally established in 1973. And it used to be much more lively back in the day. However, after being purchased by a man named Richard Yoakum, after 2006, the daycare wasn't looked after properly.
He looking a little suspect. Not gonna lie. I can't put that on nobody.
With multiple complaints of issues like infants being left outside without any supervision, yelling at children, and inappropriate sanitary facilities being common. Eventually, the business started to fail. But Richard continued to operate the daycare at a loss and handed it over to his mother just so she would have something to do in her elderly years. As for the ominous warnings from Death Ship and others, they were just trolls taking the chance to harass Disco Godfather and turn this into something bigger than just a creepy building. On May 15th, 2023, Richard passed away at the age of 79.
Okay.
But the Funtime Kids Care building still stands today, its legacy now reduced to a quirky internet footnote where fans of the mystery even dress up as the daycare for Halloween. An ending to what was, in hindsight, a completely overblown saga.
Okay.
Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. For a lot of us, whenever the
Alright, look like I overblown it too. I'm still suspicious. Somehow I still don't believe that was solved. We're gonna go on to the next one. Okay. Let's go.
/chilling scares and get 10% off your first month of therapy. 96.7 FM Strange Sounds. On the 7th of January 2018, Reddit user Batchian320 made a post on the Beaverton, Oregon subreddit describing a bizarre phenomenon. The post read, "Tune in to 96.7 if you are near Progress Ridge. Some weird shit is going on. Sitting in the car with friends, tuned to 96.7 and I'm hearing weird repeating sounds and sometimes random people talking or saying random things. The sounds get more bassy and less bassy with some strange frequencies interrupting other ones. Someone please explain this." And while others initially dismissed it as nothing more than two dominant radio stations playing over each other, they quickly changed their minds after listening to the eerie broadcast themselves. Around the same time, Redditor Jimmy Saltz made a very similar post in the Beaverton subreddit as well. This essentially ruled out the possibility that the issue was related to Batchian's car radio. And as time went on, more and more reports of these strange noises started coming up, all revolving around 96.7 FM. Now, if these strange noises were just that, most people would have dismissed them as a faulty broadcast system and moved on with their lives. However, the most haunting thing about these noises was that they kept changing. They would cycle between white noise something resembling a very loud fan. And the most terrifying old speeches from Martin Luther King Jr., John F. Kennedy, and the Apollo 11 broadcasts.
We're approaching the 60-second mark on the Apollo 11 mission. T-minus 60 seconds and counting.
Somebody terrorizing y'all.
I also found reports of these strange noises going as far back as 2017. And one post made by a now deleted Reddit account really stood out. It stated, "Did I record some kind of number station? Recorded this off of FM radio 1617 at about 6:30 p.m. The radio station is not officially listed." It went on in this pattern for several minutes before just playing some white noise type tone for hours and hours on end, no station call. The station is a defunct rock station I never heard of. The next day they played MLK speeches and something that maybe could be called ambient music, slow motion tones and whirring sounds. Nothing it's played is recognizable by Shazam. Any input is welcomed. The person who made this post also linked to a video they recorded, and sure enough, the noises match the ones Batchy and 320 heard a year later. As far as I could tell, reports of these strange noises persisted until June 2018, only to disappear as suddenly as they emerged. This extended year-and-a-half-long timeline of these noises does negate the possibility of this being some troll hijacking the frequency. Because over such a long period, one of the people working for the 96.7 FM station must have noticed the hack and corrected the issue. So if these noises weren't caused by a malfunctioning broadcast or a hack, then what were they? The only people who could prove these answers were those who owned and operated the station. And after going through one of the recordings of these noises, we can hear a distorted call sign of KZRYLP.
KZRYLP.
Looking up this call sign in FCC's public notice from August of 2018 reveals that this station is licensed to the Community Alliance of Tenants, which is a non-profit aimed at helping tenants know their rights. However, this revelation introduced more questions than it answered. What does a non-profit focused on tenant advocacy have to do with eerie, unexplained noises on the radio? Reaching out to the Community Alliance of Tenants was met with an outright denial of having any knowledge of interference with their station. This leaves only one possibility on the table, that these noises were deliberately broadcast by the Community Alliance of Tenants. As for why they would do this, the answer is simple: for attention. Think of it this way, you're driving down the highway and you want to see what's on the radio. You shuffle through the radio stations to find something you like, when all of a sudden you hear a creepy noise. Wouldn't you be curious to check out the station at a later time to see what was going on? As the explanation goes, they were likely broadcasting these noises on off hours to build curiosity around their station, which otherwise covered boring talks about tenant rights. People were mentioning this possibility all the way back in 2018 when these noises first became popular. And while the Community Alliance of Tenants hasn't come forward with a confession, people on the internet are 100% convinced that they deliberately created this hoax for attention. However, 96.7 FM has since been replaced by a rap station. The Evil Farming Game. On the 1st of May 2016, Reddit user Sparta213 asked for help in finding a game similar to that of Harvest Moon, which is a cutesy farming game. However, this cuteness quickly turned into sheer horror as others read through the specifics of what Sparta was looking for. The post read, "I know almost nothing about this game. All I can remember is that it's kind of like Harvest Moon but with a dark twist. The game starts out with you and your wife. One night you get into a fight and you end up stabbing her to death. Now, the game revolves around you farming to stay alive while trying to keep the town from finding..."
We just can't gloss past that like that. That was crazy.
...out about the incident that happened. Every now and then the cops come to search your house and you have to hide her corpse.
What?
People found the idea of a game that combined an innocent premise like farming with such a twisted plot both disturbing and highly intriguing. Given the storyline of this mystery game, most assumed it was some obscure Flash-based browser game. However, despite countless users on the subreddit dedicating hours each day to the search, they found no clues that could lead to an answer. The search also garnered an entire subreddit, which quickly grew to over 10,000 members as the legend of the game with such a dark premise traveled across the internet. The search also resulted in some users posting about having played the game a long time ago, with one such post reading, Hi all, first time posting here. Today I found my old laptop, but sadly it won't boot up. But it brought back some great memories, particularly a game I'm about to describe. So, at the start of the game you killed your wife, but after that you just lived as normal managing your farm. However, it had a twist. The police could come at any time and find the body, so you had to constantly be wary and move the body. The laptop was built in 2001, and I bought a new one in 2003, so it would have been between that time. It wasn't a browser game, and I think I may have gotten it from uTorrent, but cannot remember to be honest. Hope this is enough info, and many thanks. However, all of these claims turned out to be false. That is, until one user solved the mystery 5 years after the original post. According to him, Sparta likely saw this animation for a clip of YouTuber Varg Skeletor Joel, otherwise known as Vinesauce, and later misremembered it as an actual game.
Honestly, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like Harvest Moon, but with, like, corpses. It sounds like... That'd be a fun game, just playing as Harvest Moon, but throughout all of the gameplay, you gotta hide a dead corpse. You know what? No. You know what it is? Harvest Moon, it's just regular Harvest Moon with your wife, and midway in the game, you have an argument with your wife, and you accidentally kill her with, like, a... You kill her with, like, a barbecue... kebab rack, like you impale her accidentally, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't mean that. And at the same time as you gotta like manage your farm, you know, raise your chickens and milk the cows, you also gotta like hide the body.
Okay, all right now. So that's that. We'll go ahead and yeah. Get on up out of here. Hey, man. To the friend that sent me this, thank you. I know I'm starting a page, but come on, man. We got to do better. Already, we got to do better. Yo, thanks for y'all sticking around with me. God bless. And I hope y'all tune in for the next one. It's going to be better than that one, I promise you. And I'm out.